So Gary O'Sullivan stops Antoine or Antoinette Douglas in the seventh round in Canada. This was a very it's actually a decent scrap. Gary O'Sullivan and Antoine Douglas fought in Canada on the undercard of David Lemieux versus Billy Joe Sanders, and it was like kind of like it was like a two-way type of fight. I thought the first half of the fight, the first couple of rounds were Douglas's rounds. I thought he was hitting Gary Sullivan cleanly. Gary Sullivan was applying pressure from round one, but he wasn't. I thought that he wasn't applying enough. Like, I thought he wasn't letting his hands go enough. I thought he was applying pressure, like coming forward, but he wasn't letting his hands go enough, for my liking. But and because of that, he was, in my opinion, allowing Douglas to outbox him. But Douglas was outboxing him, but he was also being offensive. But then, like halfway through the fight, Sullivan started letting his hands go way more. He started being way more aggressive. He started really picking up the tempo, and that's when you started seeing Douglas get hit a lot, because Douglas lost one time about a year ago to that guy. I think the guy's from the guy that they say is like a miniature Mike Tyson, the Avanti guy that was supposed to fight Billy Joe Sanders. And if you look at that fight, that dude was applying a lot of pressure, and that guy was a small middleweight. He was like a 5'6" middleweight. He was applying a lot of pressure on Douglas, and he broke down Douglas. I think Douglas is one of those guys that he breaks down if he's under pressure. And Gary O'Sullivan, being the much bigger guy, felt like if he just imposes his size on Douglas, he'll be able to beat him. And that's what he started doing in the second half of the fight. He started being way more aggressive, and he really started catching Douglas, particularly in the rounds 5, 6, catching him cleanly. And then round 7 comes, and he just started he started like letting his hands go, and he was hitting him with a barrage of punches, and they were unanswered. Douglas got hit. He went on the floor. He got dropped. He got up. He tried to he did get up, but the referee he stopped the fight. And if you look at Douglas's eyes, he looked like he wasn't really there, and I think that's what the referee saw, because he didn't quit. Douglas did get up, and he came forward. He tried to get up, but I think he was just too disorientated to continue. I think that's what the referee saw, because the referee was asking him come close, but when he was coming close, he looked like he was a little bit like tipsy. He was like moving all over the place. So I think that's what the referee saw, and he said, you know what, he's not able to continue, and he stopped the fight. So this was a big I don't know if it's a big victory for Gary O'Sullivan. Maybe it's a big victory for him because he's not fighting at home. This is he's fighting in another country, foreign soil. Douglas is really a prospect. Well, he was a prospect until he lost a couple of months ago, or was it a year ago now, to that Avanti guy. But still, this was really like one of those fights that you have to win to basically put your career back on track. And because both Douglas has lost already, and Gary O'Sullivan is a career journeyman, really, who's like he's lost to guys like Chris Eubank Jr., Billy Joe Sanders, right? So this was really a must-win fight for both of these guys. So Gary O'Sullivan pulled it off. Douglas is still young. He's like he looks really young. He's like what, 20, 21 or something. He's very young, but maybe he could bounce back. But I always feel that his biggest problem is he doesn't do well under pressure. That's his biggest problem. Where does Gary O'Sullivan go from here? I don't think he'll ever be a champion. Same thing goes for Douglas. I don't think both of these guys will ever be like a world champion, because they always come up short when they're against the guys who have serious talent, the upper echelon of the division, of the middleweight division. So Gary O'Sullivan is probably going to end up losing to a guy who's better than someone like Douglas. But a win is a win, and he got the stoppage, and it was a pretty decent fight. If you missed the fight, you should watch it. They're probably gonna upload it on YouTube. I thought it was a decent fight. And yeah, that's all I have to say. It was a pretty decent fight, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the fight in the comment section below, and I'm out, guys.